Well, it's been an interesting morning or day, I guess. It may be morning where you are. It's 3 in the afternoon where I am, and Mike Rogers, the Republican head of the Permanent Select Committee on House Intelligence. What's the actual? There's a whole title to his committee, and it is a variation on that. Chairman Mike Rogers. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't say in the news story. And, here it is. The House, it's the House Intelligence Committee. He titled this. This should give you a clue. Okay. Now, first of all, let me just set this up. You've got an employee of a private contractor. The contractor is Booz Allen Hamilton, which gets 98 or 99% of all their money from federal contracts. And you've got an employee of this private for-profit corporate contractor whose CEO makes like over $3 million a year, and it's a for-profit company with our tax dollars. And he used to work inside the government, and now he works at a contractor outside, and he's been back and forth and back and forth. So anyhow, you've got an employee of this contractor who goes over to Hong Kong and says, you really need to know what these contractors know, because these contractors who are handling this information, it's been outsourced to them, 70% more or less. These contractors are handling data, and they can, if they choose, I was one of them, he says, if they choose, they can look deep down inside the data and get things like content. Then the contractors hand off the metadata. Okay, so just follow this for a second. The contractors have everything. Out of that, out of the everything, they extract just the telephone numbers, the time, the place, the calls, what's called the metadata. And they ship that off to the NSA. So the NSA doesn't actually have your phone call or your email running through their computers. The contractors do. And this is why the New York Times, in an op-ed today, is calling for us to bring this contract work in-house. It's why I've been doing that for 2 weeks now, both in op-eds and on this program. Because, as Ed Snowden pointed out, the contractors actually can look deep down inside your stuff. And as Li Fong pointed out, in the past, one of these contractors was actually conspiring to try to bring down Glenn Greenwald, the reporter and lawyer who broke this story, because they saw him as a potential threat. And the contractors could kind of do that on the side because, hey, it's a for-profit corporation. They can do more than one thing. So the contractors can snoop on you. The NSA only gets the data from the contractors, the metadata. They can't snoop on you. This is basically what Snowden has been saying all along. So there's a PR problem here. And Mike Rogers, the Republican from Michigan, the head of the House Intelligence Committee, says, let's hold a hearing. Let's find out what's really going on. He titles the hearing, and this is where I interrupted myself about 3 minutes ago, and I said, this should have been the dead giveaway. He titles the hearing, quote, this is the official title of the hearing that was held today. How disclosed NSA programs protect Americans and why disclosure aids our adversaries. Yeah, that's the title. And you would think with the New York Times editorializing about this and people all over America talking about it from right to left, with people like me and people like Glenn Beck agreeing on this issue of these private contractors. Like, actually, I shouldn't speak for Glenn Beck. I have not spoken with him. I don't know exactly what he's saying, but from what I read. In any case, right across the board. We've had, we had Jamie Weinstein on a couple days ago from the Daily Caller. I don't even want to I don't want to characterize what anybody said except me. And that is that I think that these private contractors, have loyalty to the profit motive, and not necessarily to us. And in fact, in some cases, some of their stockholders, some of their ownership is not even in the United States. Booz Allen Hamilton is largely owned by the Carlyle Group, which has foreign investors, including Saudi sheikhs, who own the company that owns your phone calls. Okay, so anyhow, knowing all this, you would assume that the first question that Mike Rogers asks General Alexander, who's the head of the NSA, would be, can the contractors, because Ed Snowden was a contractor, or worked for a contractor, can the contractors look at can they listen into our phone calls? You'd think that should be the most important question of the day, right? Because, I mean, we all know the NSA can't unless they go through a FISA court and then they got to jump through some hoops and basically hand it off to the FBI. The question is, can the contractors do this? So here's the questioning made for television to reassure all of us between Mike Rogers, the chairman of the committee, and General Alexander, the head of the NSA, at this hearing titled, How Disclosed NSA Programs Protect Americans. Here is the question.
Is the NSA have the ability to listen to Americans' phone calls or read their emails under these two programs?
No, we do not have that authority.
Does the technology exist at the NSA to flip a switch by some analyst to listen to Americans' phone calls or read their emails?
No.
So the technology does not exist for any individual or group of individuals at the NSA to flip a switch to listen to Americans' phone calls or read their emails?
That is correct.
At the NSA. Did you notice he didn't ask about the contractors? Could it be that the reason chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Mike Rogers, didn't ask about the contractors is because if you are the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee and you decide to resign from Congress or you lose the next election, you are virtually guaranteed a multi-million-dollar a year job with one of those contractors? I'm not making this stuff up. People leave Congress and they go to work for the industry of their choice. Chris Dodd is working for the banking industry now. We all thought he was a good guy. I mean, he's a Democrat. He was a good guy, right? Dodd-Frank. But when somebody dangles $1 million a year paycheck in front of you, or $2 million, or $3 million, or $5 million a year paycheck in front of you, and members of Congress start out at $500,000 to $1 million a year with the lobbyists in town and the big industries in town. And if they're committee chairman, like Mike Rogers, he could start out at $3 million or $5 million a year. And that's, I mean, this is business as usual in Washington, D.C. And General Alexander probably has a cushy landing spot should he decide to stop being a 4-star general and the head of the NSA. Oh, you want to be on the board of Lockheed or Boeing or Carlyle Group? Sure, have a few $1,000,000, have a private jet. We take care of our own. This hearing today, in my mind, and the Democrats who asked questions were rather timid, but I mean, this is a very, very intimidating environment right now. This system is so badly broken because our Supreme Court has said that corporations can legally buy politicians and own politicians. That our Supreme Court has said that money is the same thing as speech and that corporations are the same thing as persons. It has so corrupted our system that we're seeing this kind of theater.